a strident defence from US War Secretary Pete Hegseth this morning after he was questioned by reporters over his role in the attack of a so-called narco boat that was taken out on September 2 in the Caribbean Sea. 2 people survived the initial strike but were killed after a second strike, which some members of Congress claim to be a war crime. Secretary Hegseth, who authorised the initial strike, claims he didn't order the second one, which came from Admiral Frank Bradley.
By the way, Admiral Bradley made the correct decision to ultimately sink the boat and eliminate the threat. He sunk the boat, and eliminated the threat. And it was the right call. We have his back, and the American people are safer because narco-terrorists know you can't bring drugs through the water and eventually on land if necessary to the American people. We will eliminate that threat, and we're proud to do it.
So you didn't see any survivors, to be clear, after that first strike? You personally?
I did not personally see survivors, but I stand, because the thing was on fire. It was exploded and fire and smoke. You can't see anything. You got digital. This is called the fog of war. This is what you in the press don't understand. You sit in your air-conditioned offices or up on Capitol Hill and you nitpick and you plant fake stories in the Washington Post about kill everybody, phrases on anonymous sources not based in anything, not based in any truth at all. And then you want to throw out really irresponsible terms about American heroes.
That was a compelling answer for sure. Joining us live now is the former advisor on Venezuelan policy in the first Trump administration, Robert Evan Ellis. It's good to talk to you again, Robert. So a bit to chat about here. So laws of war, from what I can gather, state that survivors on the battlefield should be rescued. Was this second attack legal?
Well, and let me clarify, I'm talking in my academic capacity, and I am not a lawyer, but certainly this raises important concerns that you see internationally. First of all, the basis for the attacks and the use of lethal force in general, which of course the administration, the position is that having designated these groups as a foreign terrorist organization within the context of a non-international armed conflict, such lethal actions are legitimate. The secondary question is if they are legitimate, is a secondary attack legitimate? And within that, you can say, okay, well, as Secretary Hegseth's comments indicated, was there, knowledge that there actually were survivors, or was an attempt to essentially make sure that the boat which was carrying narco trafficking taking out? So there are a complex series of issues. It's important not to, not to get ahead of ourselves to judge what was or was not, possibly war crimes. And then, of course, there are follow-on issues as to if we go to land strikes, what is the legal regime that justifies that?
So it could be a war crime, this.
It's possible. I think you have to understand the circumstances first in terms of who knew what was the perception to stop the boat. Was it to just literally go after the persons? Certainly, Secretary Hegseth indicates that he did not give that order, and until one establishes otherwise, there's going to be congressional inquiry. We have to assume that. And then there's a question of chain of command. Who would be responsible if there was knowledge? And certainly there is the establishment that it's not enough to say that one was following orders if one had the perception that those orders were unlawful.
So it does follow a report in the Washington Post, and Hegseth just referred to this, where the secretary reportedly claimed kill them all. That was before the initial strike. So then there was the second attack too, which is where all the questions are here. So is there a grey area in all of this?
I think what there is there's an uncertainty of facts and who said what to whom and who acted on what command. In other words, did the secretary actually say that? Did the admiral, the head of special forces at the time, act in fulfillment of what that was perceived to be an order? Was it based on the intent to kill the survivors, or just make sure that the boat itself carrying narco trafficking had been rendered inoperative? In other words, I think there are a lot of facts, and that's why you have the congressional inquiry that's going on right now to figure out what happened before we, really make substantial conclusions.
So with all of that said, I mean, Trump was asked about this a little earlier today too, and he seemed very happy for Pete Hegseth to take the question. But do you think it's been answered satisfactorily yet, either from the war secretary or the president?
I think there's an ongoing question of who said what about whom. I mean, clearly the president is doing, what would expect, which is, backing his Secretary of Defense. I think the administration has made it clear that the admiral involved has acted within lawful orders. But again, it's always necessary in circumstances like this to establish what the facts actually were before you can make a definitive conclusion.
Just a final one here. Given your experience, is Nicolas Maduro likely to leave?
I would say it's highly improbable that he's going to be here 3 months from now, one way or the
Where's he going to go?
other. He could go to Russia. He could go to Nicaragua. He could go to a plot of land 6 feet under, pushing up daisies. It's hard. It's hard to know. I think that's going to depend on the action that he takes.
All right, Robert, good to have you with us again this morning.